Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Here in this video, we will go over all of what you need to know in regards to Tesla stock. Yes, we had a good day on Friday, but we could have some issues this week. Now, these issues could be positive for Tesla stock. We'll talk about that more in depth in the next video, as well as a little bit in this video. Now, I want to give you an update to where the sentiment is for Tesla, the option activity, the option positioning for this week, the short interest, as well as all of your economic data that will be coming out. We'll give you a rundown of the earnings calendar, all of it. Just stay tuned for the next 15 minutes or so, and hopefully you'll have a good perspective on what to expect this week for Tesla stock. I will also share my opinions and what I'm currently doing. So first things first, I want to acknowledge at the start of this video that this week, we have NVIDIA reporting earnings on Wednesday. I go over a full breakdown for NVIDIA earnings in the next video, coming out at 8 p.m. But I will tell you now, if NVIDIA does react poorly to earnings, it could actually be a positive for Tesla. I've talked about this for about a year now, but at some point, the baton will change from the pickaxe and shovels of the AI revolution, which is semiconductors, and it will change to companies that are actually applying this AI technology, in which Tesla is by far the biggest beneficiary of that. This is something we talk about in the next video as well. But if you're thinking about a company that is doing at scale AI, it's only Tesla that really stands out there. Think about it like this. Here's a pretty simple way to look at it. Apple does roughly $100 billion in revenue a quarter. Okay, Tesla does that in a year. So if Tesla brings in $1 billion of AI revenue, that is the equivalent of Apple bringing in like $4 billion of AI revenue. Tesla could bring in many billions of AI revenue. Tesla bringing in $5 billion of AI revenue is equivalent to Apple bringing in $20 billion of AI revenue. So if you're looking at a company that is, sensitive to AI revenue from that perspective, Tesla is by far the standout. And if the baton is lost by NVIDIA this week, if NVIDIA falters on earnings, then that is specifically what could be to Tesla's benefit. But more on that, more of an in-depth breakdown. We have a crazy video for you at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. So stay tuned to the channel for that one. But first and foremost, we will start with the option outlook for Tesla stock. Activity over the last week was very positive. You had a positive order value of 80%. You had 3,452 different trades from hedge funds and institutions, totaling $3.29 billion. So the entirety of last week was very good for Tesla options, and that is what is helping to fuel a lot of this upside at this point. It's not even necessarily shorts covering. Yes, you have seen a little bit of that, but it's really option activity and this gamma squeeze that is pushing Tesla stock higher. Now, even on Friday, where markets did not have a good day, Nasdaq was down over 2%, Tesla was up 3%, and I guess for the same reasons Tesla has been working to begin with. Trump being the next president, presumably having favorable policies for Tesla and the EV sector. Believe that or not, the policy of taking away the $7,500 tax credit could be long-term a very much a positive thing for Tesla stock. And I think investors overreacted to that in the middle part of last week. And then Friday was a bit of a rebound there. Again, option activity on Friday from hedge funds and institutions showed 299 different trades, totaling almost $184 million with a positive order value of 75%. Now, if we take a look at the week ahead, and you guys know how we like the bubble charts here, you can see there's a lot of option activity for that 350 call. You had volume on Friday of 43,000, open interest of almost 18,000 for that specific option. For the $400 call, you had volume of 20,000 on Friday, open interest of 13,461. And there's a lot of option activity really between the 330 call and the 360 call, anywhere from 40 to 80,000 contracts that were traded on Friday. The only option to the put side that has a lot of attention is that $300 put with open interest of almost 13,000 and volume on Friday of 35,000. But just considering what happened in the markets, that doesn't surprise me all too much, that there is some downside positioning in Tesla stock, given the NASDAQ was down over 2%. With that said, open interest for this week shows 57.2% of the option activity is to the call side and 42.81% of the option activity is to the put side. So you definitely do have a skew that is favorable to the call side. And really what moves the stock the most on any given intraday period is the option activity that is coming in, that is short term, that is the weeklies or the next week expirations. If it's the ramp, right? It's the gamma ramp. As more of those short term options come in, as more speculation comes in, more market makers have to buy more and more stock that pushes Tesla higher. And that's why Tesla can be so volatile, even intraday, is it really fluctuates based on that option activity. Now, short interest of free float sits at 2.79%. You have $24.27 billion currently sold short in Tesla stock, totaling 78 million shares. So you really haven't seen much in terms of short sellers covering. Now, short sellers have taken about a $10 billion loss in the last month, so they are definitely feeling the pain, that's for sure. If you look at cost to borrow max, you're sitting at 7.62%. So they're even getting squeezed on those cost to borrow fees, which are rising. Now, sentiment for Tesla stock currently is bullish at 56. So we're heading into this week with pretty fair amounts of optimism for Tesla, which is a good sign. Message volume today is low at 36. Yesterday was low at 39. Participation ratio today is actually spiking to 57, whereas it's been in the low 50s to about 55 for a while. So what this means is there's more accounts on StockTwits talking about Tesla. Participation ratio being higher just means there's more accounts talking about Tesla, which could be an indication of more potential buyers or more people looking at Tesla in this upcoming week. Now, with that said, optimism has been pretty high. The AI Investor Sentiment Survey shows 49.8% of investors are bullish, neutral investors at 21.8%, and bearish investors at 28.3%. I will tell you, with optimism being this high, you are vulnerable for some kind of pullback or a larger correction here, okay? And there's obviously a couple reasons for this. Number one, you could say that markets have priced in the good from a potential Trump presidency, but they were kind of overlooking the bad things. And it is possible that markets could start to kind of discount what tariffs could look like, what that could do to the economy, right? And these are potential issues. And I do think over the coming weeks ahead, perhaps in December or really just after NVIDIA earnings, that may be the next thing that takes precedent for investors, is what's going to happen with sentiment and with the economy. Now, as I said, it's really all about NVIDIA earnings this week. We did get news today that NVIDIA customers worry about a snag with the new AI chip servers, according to the information. We talk about this more in the next video, but I'll share it with you here as well. It says, in recent months, NVIDIA has asked its suppliers to change the design of the rack several times as it has tried to overcome the overheating problems, according to NVIDIA employees who have been working on the issue, as well as several customers and suppliers with knowledge of it. Word of the repeated design changes has sparked anxiety among customers about a potential delay when they will be able to use the racks. NVIDIA is obviously the most important company reporting earnings from a pure, market cap basis, being the most valuable company in the world, and from investor sentiment perspective. But you also have other important companies. On Monday, you have some names, really are not going to be too important. Tuesday pre-market, you have Walmart and Lowe's. Okay. Now you also have XPeng, which could be important for Tesla over in China, although I don't think that's really going to affect too much. Walmart and Lowe's are important though, in terms of evaluating the consumer. and the economy, specifically Walmart. A lot of people don't realize this, but in 2007, in the August quarter, Walmart warned about the consumer, and that sent the markets down about 3%, and people kind of shrugged it off over the coming months. There was optimism after 2007's 50 basis point rate cut from the Fed on September 18th of 2007. Markets rallied, hit a new high over the coming 3 weeks following that. But really, it was Walmart that gave the first warning. Now, if Walmart has good things to say about the consumer, that should lead you to be a little bit more optimistic about the economy yourself. I know the data is, for lack of a better word, wishy-washy. We get a lot of revisions. Things are just weird with the data that we get. But Walmart will give you a glimpse into the consumer, okay? And I think that'll be very important for the broader markets and for myself personally. Now, Wednesday pre-market, you have Neo, Target, Zim, TJX, and some others. TJX and Target being, again, consumer-oriented names that'll be important that the markets will pay attention to. Now, Wednesday and after hours, you have NVIDIA, obviously the big dog of this week, Snowflake, Palo Alto, Jack in the Box, Copa Airlines, and others. Thursday pre-market, Baidu, John Deere, and BJ's. And then Thursday and after hours, you have Intuit, Gap, Ross, NetApp, and others. So NVIDIA, Walmart, Lowe's, TJX, Target, Intuit, Ross, John Deere, Palo Alto, Snowflake, obviously NVIDIA. These are the big earnings of this week. And these companies are large in size. So earnings season is not over with just yet. As far as the economic calendar, starting off tomorrow morning, you have the NAHB Housing Market Index, as well as a speech from Fed Goolsbee, both of which come out at about 10 o'clock in the morning, so 30 minutes after the opening bell. You do have a speech from the ECB president, Lagarde, which, who knows, could be important. And then net long-term TIC flows and foreign bond investments. Now, on Tuesday, you will get building permits, preliminary numbers for October. I don't want to break that down in depth, but the more the better. The more building permits, the more building, the potentially more housing, and more or less housing inflation, I should say. Now, on Wednesday, you really don't have anything too important. Couple bond auctions. This 20-year bond auction at 1 p.m. on Wednesday is probably going to be the biggest catalyst. Now, on Thursday, you will get initial jobless claims, which is a very sometimes volatile data point, but one that the markets pay very close attention to in this environment where we're all trying to figure out what's going to happen next for the economy. We also get Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index. Now, I should say initial jobless claims are expected at 224,000. Again, it's pretty simple. If that comes in higher, that's bad. If it comes in lower, that's good. Continuing jobless claims, something to watch. Philly Fed business conditions are expected. CapEx index, employment, new orders, and prices paid. It looks like you are expecting things to get a little bit better across the board, but not in any kind of huge way. You will get the Kansas Fed composite index, Kansas Fed manufacturing index as well. Again, expecting things to get better there, but not that much better, just a little bit better. Fed Goolsbee will speak at about 12:30 on Thursday, and then Fed Hammock will speak at 12:30 as well. And that is it. You do get the inflation rate out of Japan at 6:30 p.m. Thursday night. And Japanese economic data could be important. As we've seen in August, the yen carry trade was a big deal. And that was really sparked because of the Bank of Japan raising rates. Now, on Friday, you really don't get too much. Retail sales out of the UK, manufacturing PMIs out of Germany, bunch of data out of the UK and Europe. You will get Friday at 9:45 in the morning, S&P Global Composite PMI, manufacturing PMI, and services PMI. And that'll be important, as well as the final numbers for the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey at 10 o'clock in the morning as well on Friday. So we have a lot of secondary data this week, and I think that's why we're really not going to care much about the data. Now, yes, some of these data points will be important, but it's all going to be about NVIDIA earnings heading into Wednesday. And NVIDIA will really dictate what happens to the broader markets. Now, the percent of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average was down about 4.5% on Friday, down to 53.70%. And again, that 2% drop on the NASDAQ on Friday is one reason why I think Monday and Tuesday could be decent days for the market. Some people may be trying to get ahead of what is likely going to be good earnings from NVIDIA. Now, I think the earnings themselves are going to be good from NVIDIA, but I think we have issues with competition. We have issues with pricing. We clearly have issues with Blackwell, and the growth rate is going to slow down, and that's factual, and that's the biggest thing that really affects companies is that growth rate. With the growth rate slowing down due to the law of large numbers, like, it's a good problem to have. You're just growing so large that it's becoming nearly impossible to continue to grow at the rates of speed that they previously grown at. Like, great problem to have, but it's just one of those things that Wall Street does not like all too much. But Monday and Tuesday could be decent days. We'll see how this Blackwell news does affect the stock. In some Tesla stock news today, Sawyer Merritt reports, wow, a positive Tesla article from LA Times' Russ Mitchell. He says that Tesla is profitable and the EV business at the traditional automakers as yet is not. Taking away buyer credits would hurt them more than it would hurt Tesla. And the headline of this article says, Musk has Trump's ear, and that could help Tesla. Other EV makers, maybe not so much. And it also looks like Tesla's semi-factory construction is progressing well. I mean, this thing looks like it is really getting done, especially this corner here. Looks like there is really good improvement since the last update that we got. Just shows that China's not the only one that can put up a damn factory quickly. And I think this is going to be a bigger deal for Tesla over the next year or so, because semis is really an untapped area for all EV players, right? Nobody's making EV semis at scale, especially not good ones. And this is a more total addressable market that Tesla can start to address. Now, everyone's not going to change over immediately, but the semi drivers that have been driving for Pepsi and for other limited partnerships Tesla has had love it. They don't want to go back to a normal semi. And I think that's a pretty good sign for Tesla's semi business, which should ramp over the next 1 to 2 years. So I think obviously there's going to be things of issue this week. NVIDIA earnings, does that positively or negatively impact Tesla? I'm fairly confident NVIDIA earnings is not going to be a huge positive for our markets, but we have seen the relationship in recent years where Tesla's up, NVIDIA's down, NVIDIA's up, Tesla's down. For a long time there, it was NVIDIA going up and Tesla going down. Just because everyone wanted to own NVIDIA, nobody really wanted to own Tesla. And from a technical perspective, you do see Tesla that showed a lot of respect and support around 310. I think you hit 309.22 on Friday and instantly bounced from there. That is a great sign. That is the level that I want to see Tesla hold above. And if you can hold above that, then I think larger upside could be coming. I think another big question is not just NVIDIA Tesla's relationship, but what happens with the broader markets. I think it'll tell us a lot if NVIDIA sells off and the rest of the market sell off, like small caps and mid caps and cyclicals and value names. Then it would look like we have a bigger issue in markets. Now, if NVIDIA sells off and big tech sells off, but the rest of the markets rally, I think that could really be a good sign and help take Tesla with it. And that is a big correlation that I want to watch for in this upcoming week. And I'm optimistic that Tesla can do well, even if NVIDIA does not, even if NVIDIA's leadership does change. And again, I'm optimistic that we have had enough consolidation, that we have had enough, downward price action with Tesla going from 358 down to the 309 level. I think that's enough consolidation of the recent gains, and I think Tesla could be poised to move higher over the next coming weeks. But again, it depends. Does Wall Street start to focus on Trump's negative economic policies, like potential tariffs, right? Or do we continue to focus on the good areas. Now, there's been a lot of people that have talked about this buy the election, sell the inauguration, which makes sense. But if everyone's thinking that, then you could actually see that get priced into the markets before inauguration, maybe a couple weeks before. Maybe the, selling starts January 1st, that could definitely be a potential outcome as everyone is bullish on 2025. Now, if you have not seen the Compound and Friend podcast with Adam Parker, you definitely should. He's a momentum strategist. He runs his fund, Trivariate Research, and he says that he's just a little nervous because things are too good, that everyone is optimistic, right? And that's kind of where I'm at as well. I mean, I think there's a reason to be optimistic, but at some point, everyone being optimistic is kind of, gets to the markets, right? And can kind of be that turning point. What do they say? They say bull markets are born on pessimism, they grow on skepticism, and they die on optimism. And I don't think you're at super euphoric levels, but if we have another good month or two, you're going to be at very optimistic, levels. And that would start to be more problematic. So I don't think we're there yet, but let Tesla rise to new all-time highs. Let the markets go up even further. And I think you're going to be getting to that point. So I don't think we're at imminent disaster level, but we could definitely see problems really any time now. But really what I want to see is a broadening out of our markets, which I'm optimistic can still happen. Yes, people say the S&P, the NASDAQ, your headline indexes are expensive. That is true. But if you look at the average stock in the markets, the average stock is trading at average valuations. I mean, you could see people get optimistic and push those average valuations of about 18 times forward earnings, maybe to 20. And that would look good in your portfolios. Like your portfolios would love that. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Again, I'm optimistic for this week. I don't think Nvidia potentially falling on earnings has to be a negative for Tesla. I think it could actually be a positive. And it's yet to be known if it would be a positive for a broadening out of our markets. Maybe less attention on Nvidia, more attention on the rest of the markets, or if it would just take everything else down with it. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. That is all. That is everything you need to know. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.